coming to their own insights. And then at the end, the host always say to me, wow, Oscar, that 5-minute exercise has completely changed the way our teams thought on this particular topic or whatever, because the thing people value right now is just having a time to pause. And for a lot of us, when we think about developing learning journeys for staff who are trying to make change, rarely do we think about the opportunity to pause. We're always thinking about micro-skilling and the next thing, but we also have to think about embedding and sustaining. And in silence, embedding and sustaining builds really strong muscles.
I had a guy on my podcast, a really super guy called Rob Poynton from the UK. He actually works in the Said Business School at Oxford, and he's just written a book on pause, and very similar driver. Like, it's so out of vogue. It's so difficult to find time to pause and reflect. And he talks about the power of pause. So you might enjoy his work. I'll send you a link.
Thank you.
Last question. Was there somebody or something that inspired you to devote your life to this amazing quest to teach, I think, 100 million people, if I was listening correctly, how to do deep listening?
I was on a video conference between Singapore, Sydney, and Seattle. We were negotiating the annual budget. You'll giggle about this, Chris, because you might have been one of those souls at the head office trying to set up the budgets for people like me out in the colonial subsidiaries. And at the 20-minute mark, there were 18 people in this negotiation. Now, the negotiation is really simple. The corporate office wants to get the biggest number. The country wants the smallest number, and poor old regional office Singapore has to be like Switzerland and play this kind of neutral broker kind of role. At the 20-minute mark, I said something, and my vice president in the room in Australia looked me straight in the eye at the 20-minute mark, and she said, Oscar, see me immediately after this meeting. Chris, all I could think about is how many weeks' salary have I got left, because I'm about to get fired. And the meeting was over. Tracy asked me to stay behind and said, you have no idea what you did at the 20-minute mark. And I just went, no, Tracy. And I was like, I'm definitely getting fired. I am definitely getting fired. I don't even know why, but I'm definitely getting fired. And she said, if you could code the way you listen, you could change the world. And in my head, Chris, in that moment, the moment Tracy said something so profound that she changed my life and its entire trajectory, the only thing that was going through my head is, oh my God, I'm not fired. And all I could say back to her was, do you mean code or code? That was, I was blurting something out. This is a good example that the first 125 words people say is not what they mean. And she said, no, Oscar, I mean code. We do work at Microsoft. And what she meant was code how you listen into software. And eventually I will. But it was her ability to notice the question I posed to the room in that moment that was the reason why I'm on this quest now. I mean, originally it was just teach a handful of people how to listen. Then it was 1 million, 10 million. Now it's 100 million. Who knows where it'll finish up. But I have Tracy to thank for that.
Oscar, where can people learn more about your work and how can people connect with you?
Simplest place is just visit listeningquiz.com, where you can take a 7-minute assessment, find out your listening barriers. You'll get a very simple 5-page report with 3 clear actions depending on the kind of listening barriers you've got showing up in the report. And listeningquiz.com will connect you with all the other resources around the 90-day deep listening challenge, the books, the playing cards, the podcast, and many other resources to help you move from a distracted listener to a deep and impactful listener.
Oscar, thanks so much. I will endeavor to be a deeper listener. And by the way, I love audio-only communication styles. I'm a big listener to the radio. I'm a big music fan, and I taking the sort of visual elements out of the equation, I think, is really powerful. Hence why I enjoy the podcast. But I really enjoyed our conversation today, and I think our listeners will find it very useful. So thanks for your time.
Thanks for listening.
That's a good sign-off for you.
It's easy one, isn't it?
The last lesson in the masterclass came when we turned off the virtual microphone
And lovely, lovely, lovely. Hey, if we did that interview all over again, what would you want me to do differently so it would be more impactful for the audience?
And there was a string of questions still to come, not from me, but from Oscar.
What's the one concept you'd apply personally from what you learnt today?
Who wanted to get feedback on his performance, who wanted to understand how he could do a better job next time.
Are there any other podcasts you think I should be on?
And who was generally curious about things that had come up in the conversation that he wanted to go deeper on.
And what was the name of the guy who wrote the pause book?
I'd encourage you to take Oscar's listening quiz and do some thinking and reflection yourself on how to be a better listener. And please keep listening to Learning is the New Working.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, it's been fun to listen, and I learned a lot from your style and your technique. Thanks, mate. And you've also got me thinking about 2 clients who've got a Jabra headset, so I'm going to go and see if I can find a pop filter for them too. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks as always for listening to this episode of Learning is the New Working. Please rate us on your favorite podcast platform, share us with your friends and community, or drop us a note at www.learningisthenewworking.org, where you can find a back catalogue of all our episodes and learn more and get resources from the amazing people that we've been lucky enough to feature across our 6 thematic seasons. Please, please, please stay well, stay home, but stay connected and always stay learning. Thanks.